Question. Exactly how long should eye contact with a stranger last? Like, let's say this. You walk into your favorite coffee shop one morning and find, to your horror, that there is a new barista. How long do you look at them? By this point, I'm usually panicking. What is their face doing, I think? What do I do with my face? I settle on a positive, approachable smile that says, I am a friend and I need caffeine. I find to appear normal, I must look at her for at least 2 seconds. 3, if her hair is interesting. I pray that her hair is interesting. Do you remember when you learned these things? They're often referred to as social norms. Social norms are the unwritten rules of behavior that we consider acceptable. They can differ with environment, situation, and culture. This just means that people have a language not about saying what they mean so much as performing what they feel. Do you remember, for example, when and how you learned to hug? The difference between one with your loved ones, squeeze until unsqueezed, and strangers, pat and/or squeeze once, becoming a rule. I do. I still think of it when I hug a new person. Unsqueeze. Pray that their hair is interesting. I am neuroatypical. I think this is apparent. This just means that my mother once watched a movie about author, speaker, and autistic pioneer Temple Grandin and exclaimed to me in a car one night that I might find her familiar, if you know what I mean. Like many people like me, I have spent years parsing you sweet humans and the things you say, what a lovely day outside, when what you really mean is, I do wish you would stop talking, such that I can make rules. These rules, I identify, are an algorithm by which every individual human operates. I am a computer of community, a researcher of relationships. I am obsessed with parsing behavior. And although this need has softened over the years, I still count when I look people in the eyes. 8 seconds, by the way, is the appropriate count necessary to tell someone that they matter. During these years, I have found that though it was not immediately apparent, you are not particularly good at parsing these things either. I think before I believed this language was like a class I had missed at some point, and I could catch up. But the work is more complicated than that. There are a million variables to consider when forming bonds and communicating needs, different in every situation. There's time and place and tone. My personal favorite variable is, has everyone eaten? Nowadays, I spend my time as a designer, turning what is a way of life for all of us aliens into work that will help you, Earthlings, how to do community better. You see, I've come to doubt you're all as okay as you say. I don't think, for example, that your days are good, thanks, every single time I ask. There's no shame in this. You've likely never had to consider what little things in a person's face change to imitate joy or grief. You've never sat across another alien child, reading flashcards on how to build basic connections. It is the water you swim in. So I'm here today as your friendly, neuroatypical representative to teach you how to be human. Now, there are 3 things you must master as a fledgling human. First, the bow. The first lesson you must learn as a human is a bow. This is literal. A bow is used in many human cultures to signal the opening or closing or something. It is also used to signal respect. The key to a good bow is to hinge at the hip. Lower and well, you're squatting. Higher, and this is the important part, it looks rushed. It doesn't look sincere. Sincerity, I have found, is the thing that has granted me the most grace and respect in my time amongst you. I often say I am people interested, and this desire for community has saved me a lot of heartache. This is because that interest, it is usually what turns the tide of my interactions. I am often crushingly sincere. I say, I am very tired but happy to be here at the beginning of a meeting at work. I say, I am nervous to talk to you all because this matters to me at the beginning of class. I say, I do not want to call for takeout, but I love you, and for this reason, I will do it. You can recreate this approach, by the way. The formula is description of sincerity, comma, show of effort. I bow, if you are following, at the hip. A quick caveat. There are plenty of opportunities to be insincere for the sake of optics. For example, although hard to believe, when your best friend asks what kind of dog she most resembles, you should definitely not say, a pug. Trust me. Moving on to number 2. Eye contact. Humans are a nonsensical species. They enjoy, unlike more logical animals like the common house dog, looking at each other straight in the eyeballs. This is such a part of human culture that young adult novelists will often write things like, she had eyes as bright as the morning sun, a thing that is objectively terrifying, but is meant to inspire affection, I guess. Eye contact helps neurotypical people signal respect. It signals relationships, denotes care, and tells the other person that you see them. This seeing, once again, is not all literal. It is the physical manifestation of your belief in their existence. Eye contact makes me want to leave this mortal earth. Plainly, I hate it. I look at the bridge of people's noses to imitate it, or, as I know people better, I tend not to look at them to speak or listen at all. But it's a handy skill to learn because most neurotypical people see it as the mark of matter. That is, this moment matters to me. Unfortunately, just as neuroatypical people are often bad at this skill, you are often bad at looking at other things that make you feel uncomfortable. We look away from oppression, from mistreatment and alienation, and the feelings of others. It's not bad. We do this to survive. We also do it to feel better about an increasingly complicated world. And honestly, if you could look away from pain, well, why wouldn't you try? I remember unearthing this line in my research. I was learning about the experiences of young veterans returning from war. An author wrote, everyone enjoys parades. They enjoy parties and floats and banners. But when it comes time to process the things that were done to me and that I did to others, they falter. They can't even look me in the eyes. It makes me feel like a monster. In my work as process designer and eyeball hater, I put steps to looking. My work, titled We Look Our Monsters in the Eyes, teaches each of us how to name and address the monsters via 8 core design abilities. At the Stanford D School, home to some of my best and worst insights, we use these design abilities to help students think of design not as a set of steps or degrees, but as a group of practiced behaviors, applicable to everything from designing can openers to, well, learning to address and name the hard things. We might teach them to master the empathetic interview to learn from others. We might show them the world of mental health care benefits to navigate ambiguity and synthesize it rapidly. All of this is nested under my favorite ability, design your design work, which is a meta ability all about recognizing a project as a design problem and then deciding on the people, tools, techniques, and processes needed to tackle it. It's about giving participants the agency to influence their interactions and livelihoods. You could say it's the center of my personal and professional work. Now, for many of you, the act of focusing on a difficult feeling elicits fear, much like my fear of small talk. Others may find themselves blistering with anger. But if we learn to put ourselves in a learning posture, sitting forward, leaning up, if we apply each of these design abilities and brave the blistering heat of being seen and seeing others, we might be able to signal that we care about these maligned experiences and that we may begin, slowly, to heal them in ourselves. Okay. Third thing, pretend it's magic. I have been to a lot of therapy. I have sat on couches and small chairs, wrapped my legs up under myself, and talked and cried and laughed, doing the work of coming home to myself. People have often asked in the years since I began how I did it, how I became so normal. This is a misnomer. Nothing is done. I still, for example, count the number of times I speak over someone in conversation, literally, to keep the ratio of their interruptions close to the ratio of mine. I, personally, do not consider this normal. But if I think about it non-literally, metaphorically, I think what they, you, might be asking is, what can I do to begin? And the answer, for me at least, is to pretend that each new thing is magic. Now, magic is not a miracle. In the tactical sense, it is a set of steps practiced to perfection, such that the outcome is so far removed from the action that it seems it might be a miracle. But it isn't. A magician learns. She learns from others who teach her in one way or another how to pull a coin from someone's ear. We don't know how she did it, so we sit in awe. Before I knew that making friends was magic, that coin pull always seemed to evade me. I desperately wanted the coin to appear. I mimicked all the positions she did. I waved my hands over my ears and nothing. Now, I made friends. I perform and still perform many things, smiling when ordering coffee, for example, such that people know I am approachable and normal. Even now, I scan the room and look at each of your imaginary foreheads, dotting the appropriate amount of interest in the audience. But a connection is not a miracle. It is made, practiced, taught. When my college best friend, Keely Wofford, taught me how to be a friend, she revealed to me how that coin moved, how it slipped underneath a palm and then a sleeve. Suddenly, I had direct access to all the things that I felt I was the only one who couldn't see. We saved our dollars for a monthly Starbucks date. We listened to Elton John's Benny and the Jets on repeat. And one day the coin, transported in her hand and mine, appeared. She saved my life. We are each other's miracles. Each new skill is magic. You are the magician. If you are open to learning the steps, to asking, to practicing each even as you stumble, you can use your talents to eventually travel your coin out another's ear, learning to put yourself out there at work, to dance in public with a stranger, or to finally tell your loved ones about the divorce. You will learn. You can learn. I learn about you all the time. This is what you can remember when all else fails. There are people with brains like mine, and unlike mine, already parsing your world for magic. It is possible. These outsiders are critical pieces of our shared world infrastructure. Learning in the way we do may be the key to solving some of the future's most pressing issues, because we have no choice but to see and address each tiny, interlocked step. These steps often stop us from accomplishing things as simple as entering buildings and saying hello. To navigate this world, we must first become geniuses in you. It's easy to believe we and the work I do to make visible all that is invisible are mere problems to be solved. It's easy to look away and pretend neuroatypical people are remedial, odd, and useless. But we each have something to teach the world about being a better human, and it's high time we all paid attention. Thank you.